هننتقل دلوقتي للسيشن الأخرانية النهاردة في اليوم الأول من الورشة سيشن 3 Water Systems Management How Green Transition Can Help Solving Water Scarcity. احنا الحقيقه كان المفروض يكون معانا معالي الاستاذ الدكتور حسين عاطفي وزير الري الاسبق، بس نظرا لظروف طارئه جدا هو الحقيقه الدكتور عبدين صالح هيقول الكلمه الخاصه بيه مع كلمه الدكتور عبدين صالح. دكتور عبدين صالح هو Director للعرب Water Academy of the Arab Water Council. He is still الحقيقة UNESCO consultant، وكان ليه باع كبير من مع اليونسكو نفسهم. كان مسك كايرو اوفيس، كايرو ريجنال اوفيس قبل كده بتاع اليونسكو، و هو طبعا استاذ الهندسه المدنيه بجامعه الخرطوم من السودان، وليه مسيره مهنيه تاريخيه مع اليونسكو. خبير عالمي في اداره الموارد المائيه، له ما يقرب من 100 ورقه علميه منشوره، وقاد فرقا دوليه لحل مشكلات معقده مثل ارتفاع منسوب المياه الجوفيه في مدينه الرياض. زميل في اكاديميات علميه عالميه مثل الأكاديمية العالميه للعلوم اللي هي TWAS، طبعا هو TWAS ممبر، والأكاديمية الافريقيه للعلوم، وهو مؤسس العديد من الشبكات الاقليميه والدوليه المعنيه بالمياه. تفضل حضرتك دكتور عبدين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أولاً thank you very much إسراء and the colleagues here. Whenever I'm here, I'm so happy to meet our friends here in the library and to congratulate them for 20 years of very hard work, which I'm a witness of it. The fellow of TWAS and the fellow of the TWAS, which is done in here. And also, in fact, for the library, I have also a touch, because as the director of UNESCO office, I have been in a way or other. I think I have a little bit part of the project of the library, which I'm proud of it. And I was so proud that during some moves in the country in here, the people themselves of Iskandariya came to protect the library, which means that there is an ownership for it really from the people and from what it is doing. And I'm witness, I mean, from the very time up to now, and I'm always proud and happy to come. In fact, I was about to apologize for this particular activity because I thought I'm from water. And then I can see from your really dreams and the things which you would like to move it quickly to solve the problems in the world, I thought you are far from water. But I felt you are close to water because water is there. I'm sorry that the session is at the end when everybody is tired. And also I have to give two presentations, which would be very difficult. One for my colleague, currently I'm working as the director of the Arab Water Academy in the Arab Water Council, and His Excellency Dr. Hussein is my friend and my colleague in the same place. So I will go quickly through those presentation, and I think they look like each. There are some similarities of them. That is why, because Dr. Hussein is not here, I will go through his as it is. But in mine, I will go so quickly because the end of the day, because it is not only water, but I just would show the size of water on that. Dr. Hussein prepared something very good. He talked very about key challenges for green transition, but I think you all talked about it. And what he mentioned here is more or less what you said as really related to green. He talked also many challenges. I mean, I remember in the first he talked about what its definition and the strategy for each initiative in the Arab world, Arab projects and Egyptian projects related to green transition. Implementation, the Arab Water Academy, which is really its Secretary General, what they do with that, and some recommendation in his presentation. He spoke also about key challenges, and I think more of you talk about it. And I think there are excellent presentations this morning. It started from the not traditional way where you made the ways people they should know each other, to the good presentation from Dr. Adli, then the good interactive one from Dr. Hussein, and then we have the excellent work from those two giants who came there, really, Alia and Dina, I'm very proud of them. And I'm glad that it received also a lot of interaction from your side. So I think we are in the good way. Dr. Hussein put some slides to show the deteriorating situation of water and their per capita share in the Arab world. He showed something for 1950, 1925, 2025, and you can see the reduction. When you go to the red, this is the extreme poverty of water. We always say if you divide all the water with the number of population in the country, if it is less than 10,000, it is the poverty line. If it is less than 5, it is extreme poverty line. And I think we are most extremely poverty line. He is showing Sudan as white, but I think this is not right. After the separation of the South, this is not correct at all. I will show you why it is not correct when you come to my presentation. He also spoke about the future of water security, and he showed the annual renewable water resources per capita in different countries. And you can see from the blue things up there that countries like Australia, they have no problem at all. I mean, they have over 30,000. So they are a lot above the poverty line. But when you look to the Middle East and North Africa, we are really in a very bad situation. He showed how this also changed rapidly with, he showed in this slide also what is going on, world weather-related, natural and catastrophic disasters, or catastrophe between 1980 and 2018. And you can see it is really rising. And this is climate change, which a lot of you, they talked about it, and I don't want to say. He put the economical impact as a result of that. And he showed also how this affected food and affected others. And he gave example from Yemen, Syria, and you will have the presentation if you want to see it more, because a lot of talk was said about how those things are affected. Then he came to the call for green transition, and he showed that there is a shift from resource-intensive and polluting economics towards sustainable low-carbon circular system, and the aim is to tackle climate change and to promote sustainable growth. And then we talk, I think Professor Hussein put us in a great trouble by trying to see how we could do this in the right way, and you all reacted on that. He talked also about key tools, policies, and drivers for this aspect. He talked about the nexus. He talked about the non-conventional water. He talked about the smart technologies. He talked about the nature-based solution, the green technologies, regulatory framework, just transition measures. And I think most of those, they were mentioned in a way or the other by the excellent presentation from all those who really spoke before me. Also, he talked about the strategic implementation and approaches. So he talked about technology deployment and strategies, role of space and planetary sciences, which is really, and I think the one which is not mentioned is really the great progress which happened in the space aspects, whether the remote sensing or the Earth observation system, and this helped a lot, I think. Also, the economy, he talked about the ecosystem-based approaches, climate research, challenges and development, human capital development, which is mentioned also. He talked about initiatives in the Arab countries. And he mentioned in that, he talked about the total non-conventional water resources in the Arab region. And I will talk about it a little bit, I think, in my paper. Definitely, we have to rely on the non-conventional water resources in our part of the world. He showed the poverty in which we are now in our countries in 2025, and it is going to be greater in up to 2030 or to up to 2100, which is mentioned by the previous authors, what will happen in the climate change aspect. He also spoke about produced and treated wastewater. And you can see in our countries in the Arab region the great differences. Maybe Egypt is really doing a fantastic job compared to others, you can see to some extent, but most of the countries with great large water, they have in trouble. Some countries, they are okay, though the water itself it is small, and I think it is good, the ground. He also shows some success stories in these aspects from different countries. And I think some of them were mentioned by you, some of them by having solar system, increasing solar system in Lebanon. They have success stories, and I'm sure I talked about it, I think, more than Egypt experience, Saudi Arabia experience, Tunisia, Morocco, some example, which are United Arab Emirates. He talked also how we can narrowing the gap of supply and demand, which is great in our part of the world. And he talked about by increasing the treated water, and Egypt in this particular part is very great. We are now with almost about 4.78 billion meter cube, which is really huge now. It is reused in Egypt from the treated water and other success stories. He also spoke about implementation issues to be enhanced. That is innovation and technology, technical and infrastructure, regulatory and policy cap, social and institution, capacity development, financial and and I think they were mentioned in the example mentioned between the colleagues before. All of them, I think they sort of idea. He talked about empowering professionals and capacity training, and he divided into technical skill development, analytical and research capability, financial and management, cross-cutting competencies. Also, he talked about the Arab Water Council, and it is a major initiative, and its major initiative programs, which is water, energy, food, ecosystem nexus, WAFI, non-conventional water resources, Arab Water Academy, which the director of it is stakeholder networking and partnership, climate finance and investment facilitation, technical and capacity development. And also you talk about the establishment of the Arab Water Council, and I think it was a great thing. In fact, if there is a person which I need to mention here behind that, it was Dr. Mahmoud Abu Zaid, the previous Minister of Irrigation and Water. And Dr. Mahmoud is not a policy man no, he's a great scientist. And I met Dr. Mahmoud in 1978 in a conference in Mexico. And at that time, he was the director of the minister's office at that time. And I was also a visiting professor at Colorado State University. And we met in Mexico in the conference. And that day, we were really like twins going to different aspects of water all over the world. And he started something so great. That is the World Water Council. The World Water Council is the giant and a grown. Dr. Mahmoud was the first president, and at that time I was in the UN system, and there was a fight. Dr. Hussein may be part of it. Some of our colleagues in the UN system, they were trying to create some problems. And in UNESCO, luckily, we used to launch each 3 years a report in the water assessment of the world. And I think that was a great work. When he left, not left, but he became an honorary president of something. We established together the Arab Water Council in 2004, and I think it's a great addition because it is sort of NGO and intergovernmental. We have in its council the 22 ministers from the Arab region, from the 58 members of the council. And I think it made a good idea. The idea was to develop regional strategy and policy integration, build capacities in water-related issues, strengthen regional and international cooperation for SDGs, promote integrated water resources management, address climate change impact in water resources, enhance knowledge, and even this program changed. For example, the 5 priorities of which will end, I think, next year, is implementation of IWRM and the Sustainable Development Goals, promoting cooperation and sustainable solutions for shared water, transport water. We get in the Arab region 60% of our renewable water resources from outside the Arab region, which is a great problem, really. Address climate security and impact of climate change on water resources, promoting water, energy, food, ecosystem nexus, supporting the application of modern technologies. And I think we did a lot of work in that particular side.
Also, the Arab Water Academy, which I directly started in 2008, less than that. And it started in a great project supported by many, World Bank, the Emirates Environmental Department, and it started in Abu Dhabi. But after a while, we moved to Egypt in Sainan University, but in the last 2 or 3 years, we moved it to the Secretariat of the Council in Cairo, and I think we are doing, I don't want to talk a lot about the work we are doing, but I think we did fantastic training. For example, this year, we have almost close to 10 webinars, and we brought the best brains in the world. For example, we have a professor from MIT, talking about climate change and its effect to our region, and we brought Howard Wheater from Imperial College. He talked about a lot of knowledge we don't know about the hydrology of Arizona, and because other people are not interested. So it is for our people and young people and young generation to work. There is a lot of room to work. We did the Arab Water Academy, and I put it in the same line as the TWAS. You know, I'm an old member of TWAS and also of the African Academy. And I tried to benefit from that. And now we have 30 solid persons from all the Arab countries, which they are really our brains. And now this year, we ask for applying, and we accept some people who made impact. And I think this is one of the great things which we did in the Arab Water Academy, other than the training which we do for different. Various idea, in fact, was to train decision makers, because we saw decision makers, if they don't know the problem of water, then they can make a lot of, but the decision maker, ministers, they don't come and listen to you. They think once become ministers, they really need any knowledge from anybody. So we became more acceptable. We bring them in our 3 years forum, and then they talk on a subject together. But we bring the less like the director generals, like the academician, like the youngs. Now we are really pressing a lot about the young people, and I think because they are really going to face a difficult, whether green transition, the transition, whether the others, they have to learn a lot with little water which we have to compete with the others. And also we are making now a database for all the centers and the projects in the Arab world in different areas related to water, in order to put them together in, for example, in Egypt, we have the Ministry of Water, for Water Resources and Irrigation. They have 13 institutes. But universities themselves, they have great centers too in Egypt, in other countries too. So we want to bring this database so that we can bring it together, and we cannot really work apart because the problem is so big for this thing. I don't know what happened to the system. There is something appearing in here. Let me try to take it. No, I don't know what happened. Could you come and help? Anyway, so this is for the part which is related to the, yeah. And I think we are ending the presentation from Dr. Hussein. It ended, he talked about the academy, which I think it is very important, and I also say you are all welcome really to be part of it, because all of you is related to water. And I see that water is not the engineers. You know, some years back, I'm a civil engineer, and I remember when we were graduated in the 60s or something, we don't want to listen to anybody. The agriculturalists, what do they understand, I know? In Egypt, irrigation engineer is a very important. Muhandis al-Ray. Engineers are something, but the Muhandis al-Ray, Abu al-Ata, and those strong people who used to, you don't want to listen to nobody. In Sudan, you know, agriculture and in fact, agriculture is the most user of our water and the most consumptive use, because the water used for agriculture, we use it for good. The water we use it for industry and for other things, we may use it many times. But we need to talk with each other and to learn to talk. Bring my thing. I think Dr. Hussein one is, or there is something wrong with the system itself. Yes. Anyway, so this is what Dr. Hussein put. He made some recommendations, and we're trying from the water side really to put also green in agenda. In my presentation, I think it is more or less close to what he did. We didn't do it together really, but
But then at the end, he was traveling and he was caught in the travel and he asked me to give his presentation. That is why I found a lot of common thing in between the two presentations. In fact, in my presentation, I want to show that water is not a sector. Water is a connector. And if we didn't learn how to connect with others, even the nexus would not cover them all. You know, we developed the nexus, that is water, food, energy. Then we put ecosystem. You know, the nexus is everywhere. Water and health, water and economy, water. So water is really a connector. Water is connected with everything. If we don't understand that and we think that water, it is only for the engineers or the geologists or the scientists, no. I mean, really, we need to have everybody to be part of it. I mean, and that is why even for green translation, it could be part of it. Worldwide too, and I want to tell you that when we talk about water, most of the water which we have is a salty water. It is in the ocean. In fact, this represents 98 point something of the water of the world. The fresh water in the world represents about 1.2%. From this 1.2% water, the majority of it is either glacé, which you said at the snow, which if it melts, then some of you mentioned, and I think Dr. Baltagi mentioned that, we would be in a great trouble. But the remaining majority is groundwater, which could be also deep, and when you get it, it's a problem, and it is, you know. So the water in the rivers, and then the water of the soil is great, but the water in the river, which we fight on, is represent I think 1.2% or something from 1.2% which we talk. You know, because even the salt water, which in the oceans and the seas and things, this now is potential for us for the non-conventional water which you can use. So definitely we have to understand that when we talk about water, we talk about rivers, or we talk about renewable water, we are talking about a small portion of water. And then there is another water which is available for us. Unfortunately, also water can be polluted, can be overused. Water which you use for agriculture, you use it for good. And in fact, worldwide, 70% of the water used in the world is used for agriculture, 70%. And in fact, that is why when you need to manage your water and you make strategies, it should be a long-year strategy, 50-year strategy. I remember when I was in Colorado State University in USA, at that time it was Carter was the president, President Carter. And he was, I think, one of the humane and a nice person, I think, for those passes. But Carter, he believed very much at that time of the environment. And at that time, the environment became very strong. You know, at our time when we graduated, we don't want anybody to talk with us. Neither you said you want a dam, we go and build a dam. No environmentalists, no agriculturists, no things like this. We go and do our dam. Then came a cost analysis, benefit cost. This makes us a little bit to make our building a little bit thinner, not as big as that. Then came in the 70s or so, 70s came the environment, and a lot of pressure and everyday environment, and included in the states. And so President Carter said now no dam in the state should be built if the environment here, at that time it was a lady, and a strong lady at that time. If there is no approval from there, and I think he couldn't get his second term because most of the West state, though they used to be Democrat, but they voted against him because he wanted to stop dams. So you can see how things now change. I mean, the whole, now we are talking about green thing and I think this has come again. How could we change the mind of people to know that if they want a real development and they want a real development, they have to work really together and they have to work with everybody. Interdisciplinary, the water is everybody. In UNESCO, at my time in UNESCO, we have a very interesting program. We call it MAP, Man and the Biosphere. And we think that within that one, if you want, if the development is made alone by the researchers and the academicians and who can make a great, it will fail. It is made alone by the politician. No, they will look for the next election. And so they will do it to please those who will vote for them. It is made alone by the stakeholder and the users. They will not have the knowledge. And it can only work really if all those they work together.
And I think this program was there. I joined UNESCO in 1993. Before me, this man and vice chair. I think it was a great concept. I mean, and in talking about really interdisciplinarity and how, and of course, after that came the convention. There came a different convention and came. But from that time, thinking this way shows that people really they understood that they need to work in the same way which you have it in the discussion and in the fight to have. No one adult or no discipline alone would wear that. And we the engineers, we learned this later on, but I remember, in my case, I remember in the University of Khartoum in the 70s, we started an institution of environmental studies. And the engineers with me, I was that time, civil engineering and water, and they were surprised how I go and talk with people from agriculture and from social sciences and from geography and really, it is important. I mean, if we want things to be true, those we want to serve, they should be there. And that is the participatory approach, or all you talk about it. All disciplines are interconnected. You couldn't get it, huh?
يعني we will bring our
anyway,
from
and I think what I showed in my presentation may be different than how we should view water really as really everybody is linked to water. It's connected with all disciplines. And I work with some of my students that the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, all of them, they are connected to water. And one which I showed here is that really one showing a circle with the goal 6, which is water, and I show that with 9 other goals, it is closely connected. You cannot do it without really having to look at it. Then the rest of the 16 on the peripheries are less connected, but they are connected. So when we talk about the nexus is there. When you talk to the water, it is really available with all of that. And in our region in particular, water is the key for any development. And if we don't look at it that way, and if we not design it in a long way, there would be a problem. The challenges are great. I mean, the pollution, what also I showed in the presentation session, UNESCO published each few years a report about how the research is going on in the world and how people, they fund research. And unfortunately, the Arab region, if you took it as Arab region and Africa, are the lowest. And I show, for example, South Korea, they put almost 4.6% of their budget on research. By the way, AI, the largest research in the world, there's a new report which will come soon, and I'm sure it will not be different from the one which came, I think, 21 or 22. In that report, they showed the highest funds in research in the world was in AI. After it is energy. Then you have something like, this is a very important report. I hope UNESCO will continue in it, will show the direction. And I always tell our people in this region that this is really important. Secondly, one of the things which I think we are weak on is training. And I think Professor Hussein mentioned of it about التعليم and the importance of education and things like this. In fact, the importance in all steps. I'm a professor in university, and I still am a professor in university after retirement from UNESCO and others. But I think we are not preparing ourselves for things like green transition, like others, carefully as a region, when I speak as a region. And when we talk about capacity development, we don't, nowadays we say capacity development, don't say capacity building. When we talk about capacity development, we talk a bit at the level of the individuals. And when we talk about the individual, then it starts from the decision maker. This is the one who puts it in. It comes to the lower thing, and it goes down even to the people whom you want to serve. Each one and each group, they require a special type of discipline. Secondly, the institutional side also. How the institution would be work together. I mean, we all talk about in our countries, you sign 10 ministries, they are working in the same area related to water, for example, my field. Ministry of Health, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of... Till now, the link which we would like to have and to see that they have to sit together, there are a lot of effort which is done. And I think also what we call it enabling environments.
The enabling environment are really the laws, the statutes, the benefits, so the capacity, one of the things which I showed is how when we view capacity building. And then research, of course, it goes, I mean, it's not only research from the social sciences, the resource from the applied sciences, the resource from the basic sciences, the research from all this, they work together. And those alone now, we talk about STI, science, technology, and innovation. And in our region, we need the young people really to think and to come innovative more. We are not the same as others. One of the webinars which we made about 3 or 4 weeks ago by Howard Wheater, he's one of the specialists who work in the hydrology of Arizona, and the books which we teach our students, and we show, they don't show that. He showed, I mean, he did some projects in Saudi Arabia, in Oman, in many places, in many students of our students in Imperial College work with him in water, and to me he's a friend and colleague. And he showed what we know about the hydrology of arid zone is small, and we need young people to be more interested in to do that type of research, that type of basic research. So identifying also our need in research is very important in which area and in which, in conclusion, and I think also in our countries there is a gap between universities and what they do, and between the industry and between and in UNESCO, many years back, we developed a sort of a project, we call it, I forgot its name. The idea of it is to build university with the industry, and in between, it is the same level which you meant, there is the piloting in between, and then it would go there. And this program was very successful. And I remember in many years back, I was the director of a regional office of UNESCO in Tehran. And the Iranians, they applied this thing in UNESCO. And they made a conference. And they asked us to invite Mahathir Mohamad from Malaysia. And Malaysia made a breakthrough, which was fantastic at that time. And then I wrote to my headquarters in Paris, and I told them, then Mahathir Mohamad said, yes, I will come. But they should provide me with a plane. I bring with me 50 or 60 or so. He made it difficult. They said, yes, we are prepared to do that.
But you said yes.
Yes, but he came. At the end, he came only with his wife. And we spent some time in Asfahan. In Asfahan, they have a university, a fantastic university, where they applied the same UNESCO thing. They have the industry, they have the piloting thing, they have the university research in that. But he noted that their English is weak. And then he told them, and then there are words which I always say to my students. He told them the Islamic countries, they miss the industrial revolution. I hope that they will not miss the information revolution. And I hope they understood it. And he said they miss the industrial revolution. He said we did not only send our students to one country, we let our students to know the accent of the people. For USA, we send with a new accent of you to England to say, in order to get the information and to open to what is going on in the world. And I remember it took him 10 minutes, and I was representing the Director General of UNESCO, and I spoke behind him. I said to myself, oh God, what should I say after this man said what he said in 20 minutes, what needs to be done to catch with the world? Now we are in the industrial revolution. We have the information revolution. It is there if we open there, if we know. But I don't know, I think they understand, because the next day they brought all their ministers to him for weeks, then the undersecretaries, and they kept him 10 days or something like this in Asfahan. Anyway, I think this is what we need. We need really to open. The young people are going to face a lot of work. I'm happy to see the two of you now really making us, but I think there is a lot which is waiting for us to go, to enhance our knowledge. There are some differences between us, not exactly what we get really, and it is good in England, would be good in Sudan or in Egypt or in United Arab Emirates or others. I think we have to know how to adapt and how to innovate. It is science, technology, and innovation. This is where I think we should have a property. I think in the conclusion, I thought we should develop network which can gather all those people together. I think with that, I'm glad I showed Dr. Hussein's slide. My slides are more or less of what I said. And I think you are really very tired, but I think
if there is one or two questions which are, or comments which are really burning, you are welcome. If not, you have our address, and I hope that they can give you also my presentation to take it with you. I mean, you are all linked to water really. There is nobody which is not linked to water really. It's not the engineers or the geologists. I wish you all good luck, and thank again my colleague. Okay, there is no question. I think you are all tired and you look tired. Professor Hussein, do you have any comment or you want?
Thank you for an excellent presentation.
Isra, is there anything you want?
هو اولا احنا بنعتذر على التكنيكال بروبلم اللي حصلت خارجه عن الاراده. طبعا التكنولوجي بقى مالناش دعوه، هي التكنولوجي بنحاول نصلحها. بس انا سعيده جدا بوجود حضرتك معانا.
Maybe you can send it to them. I think some of it could be useful.
مفيش مشكله طبعا. احنا يعني النهارده خلاص دلوقتي احنا ختمنا اليوم الاول من الورشه، تنتقلوا معانا للغدا. ودكتور عبدين ودكتور حسين مستعجلين عايزين يروحوا معانا.
You have to excuse us. We are really two old guys who would like to go while the sun is there.
شرفتونا ونورتونا، واشوفكم على خير الورشه الجايه باذن الله او نشوفكم على الغدا فوق. زمايلنا هيوصلوكم لمكان الغدا باذن الله.
احنا ان شاء الله هنتحرك للجريكو رومان، بس عايزه اكد على البارتيسيبنتس الحضور كل يوم من فضلكم لما تيجوا اعملوا تشيك يور اتندنس، علشان السيرتيفيكتس هتتعاطى بس للناس اللي كملت ال2 دايز او على الاقل 75% من الاتندنس، كذلك للناس الاونلاين اللي احنا فقدناهم يعني. ان شاء الله. شكرا ليكم.
هي فكره ان هو بيدور على حاجه غلط، بيدور على حاجه غلط كده مقفول.